the notification popped up on Lily's phone screen, startling her so much she nearly dropped her treasured, slightly out-of-tune acoustic guitar. Elvis Presley's first guitar, up for auction. It blared in bold red letters. Lily's heart did a strange little flutter kick, a mix of pure excitement and immediate crushing dread. She tapped the screen, her fingers trembling slightly, and the article loaded. It was real. Not a clickbait scam, a genuine historical packet, the very instrument that had been in Elvis's hands when he was just a kid, before the slick suits and the roaring crowds, before Graceland and the global phenomenon. This was the raw, unpolished beginning. A simple wooden box that had somehow held the seeds of rock and roll. Lily traced the faint, faded photo on her screen. It was a humble, unassuming acoustic guitar, probably a cheap model even back then. Yet looking at it, Lily could almost hear the tentative chords of a young boy learning to strum the first whispers of a voice that would eventually shake the world. A profound sense of longing washed over her, a deep, aching need to touch that guitar, to feel the history pulsing through its strings. "Oh, Grandma Rose," Lily whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Grandma Rose had been gone for 5 years now, but her spirit, her love for music, and especially her unwavering devotion to Elvis, still lived vibrantly in Lily's small apartment. The walls were adorned with vintage Elvis posters, a framed photo of Grandma Rose herself, wide-eyed and beaming at an Elvis concert in the 70s, and a shelf dedicated to Pinike records. Grandma Rose had been the one who introduced Lily to Elvis, not just the music, but the myth, the magic, the very soul of the man. She'd told Billy's stories, spun tales of a time when the world was black and white, and then Elvis arrived, injecting it with color and rhythm. Lily remembered countless evenings curled on the floral couch in Grandma Rose's living room, listening to Heartbreak Hotel, or Can't Help Falling in Love, Grandma Rose's voice a little wobbly with age, singing along with every word. "Elvis got that guitar when he was 11, you know, sweet pea," Grandma Rose had explained one afternoon, her eyes twinkling. "He wanted a rifle, bless his heart, but his mama Gladys, she got him a guitar instead. Best decision she ever made. From that moment on, that boy was never without a song in his heart." Lily had always felt a special connection to that story, to that specific foundational guitar. It wasn't just an instrument. It was a symbol of destiny, of a mother's wisdom, of the humble origins of a legend. And now it was for sale. Scrolling down the article, Lily's breath hitched in her throat. The auction house, a prestigious one in New York, had estimated the opening bid to be astronomical. The number flashed on the screen, so many zeros it made her head spin. 7 figures, maybe even 8. Lily, a barista at the local Brew and Books coffee shop, working part-time while trying to finish her online music history degree, earned barely enough to cover rent and student loans. Buying a coffee that cost more than $5 felt like a splurge. Buying Elvis's first guitar was like trying to purchase the moon. The dread returned heavier this time, a suffocating blanket. It was a beautiful dream, a fantastical wish, but entirely out of reach. She imagined the rich collectors, the museums, the billionaires who would casually bid millions without a second thought. Lily's entire savings accumulated from years of birthday. Money and side gigs wouldn't even cover the auction fee. She leaned her guitar against the wall and walked over to the old battered photo album on her coffee table. Flipping through the pages, she found a picture of Grandma Rose, younger, vibrant, dancing ecstatically at a local sock hop, a look of pure joy on her face. In her hand, she clutched a small, worn piece of paper, an old concert ticket stub from one of Elvis's early shows in Memphis. Grandma Rose had always said that ticket was one of her most prized possessions. Right up there with her wedding ring. Lily closed her eyes, trying to conjure Grandma Rose's wise smile, her comforting scent of lavender and old paperbacks. What would Grandma Rose say? She'd probably tell Lily that some dreams were meant to stay. Dreams, beautiful, impossible things that lived only in the heart. Then again, Grandma Rose had also been a firm believer in miracles, in the unexpected turns of life that could make the impossible possible. A single tear traced a path down Lily's cheek. It wasn't just about owning a piece of history. It was about honoring Grandma Rose, about keeping a piece of her dream alive. It felt like a sacred duty even begin to compete. The reality of the situation crashed down on her like a tidal wave, leaving her breathless and overwhelmed. The guitar was out there tantalizingly close in the news, yet impossibly far away. The dream, for now, remained just that, a dream. A very, very expensive dream. The next few days were a blur of caffeine and melancholy for Lily. She'd hoped the initial shock would wear off, that the absurdity of her longing would fade. But if anything, the desire to somehow acquire Elvis's first guitar only intensified. Every time she poured a lot, had brew and books, or shelved a book, her mind drifted back to that image of the humble instrument. It wasn't just a guitar anymore. It was a beacon, a whisper from the past calling to her. She tried to distract herself. She played her own guitar, humming along to Elvis tunes, but even her instrument felt inadequate, a poor substitute for the real thing. She scrolled through music forums, reading endless debates about the guitar's authenticity, its provenance, and the likely astronomical price. It would fetch the numbers bandied about made her stomach clench, millions plural. One evening, after her shift, she drove out to her Grandpa Arthur's house, a small, cozy bungalow on the outskirts of town. Grandpa Arthur, a retired carpenter with kind eyes and calloused hands, had been Grandma Rose's rock, and after her passing, he'd become Lily's anchor. He was sorting through old tools in his garage, the familiar scent of sawdust and motor oil filling the air. "Hey, Sweet Pea," he greeted, pushing his spectacles up his nose. "Long day." Lily slumped onto an old workbench, sighing. "Long week, Grandpa. You heard about the Elvis guitar?" Yes. Saw a blurb on the local news." "That's the one Rose used to talk about, isn't it? The one his mama bought him instead of a rifle." Lily nodded, a lump forming in her throat. "That's the one. It's going up for auction, and it's so expensive. Grandpa. Like, unbelievably expensive." He set the wrench down, turning to face her, his expression softening. "You want it, don't you?" Lily didn't even need to answer. Her eyes probably gave her away. "More than anything, Grandpa. It feels like a piece of Grandma Rose, you know? Like if I had it, I'd be holding a part of her dreams, a part of her youth." Grandpa Arthur walked over, settling beside her on the workbench. He picked up a smooth, worn piece of wood, absent-mindedly tracing its grain. "Rose talked about that guitar a lot. She always said if she ever had all the money in the world, she'd buy it. Not for herself, mind you. She said she'd buy it to put it somewhere where everyone could see it, where it could inspire folks, remind them that even the greatest stars start from humble beginnings." A flashback hit Lily, vivid and clear. She was 6 years old, sitting on Grandma Rose's lap, a large, well-loved book of Elvis, photographs open before them. Grandma Rose had pointed to a blurry black-and-white image of a young Elvis, no older than a teenager, strumming a simple acoustic guitar. "See that guitar, Lilybug? That's where it all began. That's the instrument that started a revolution." Lily remembered the reverence in her grandmother's voice, the way her eyes shone with an almost spiritual devotion. "She always said it was more than just wood and strings," Lily murmured, tears pricking her eyes. "It was hope. It was possibility." Grandpa Arthur put his arm around her, his embrace warm and comforting. "She was a dreamer, your grandma, and you're just like her, but dreams sometimes they're too big for just one person." Sweet Pea, his words, though gentle, felt like a cold splash of water. He was right, of course. It was too big. Lily imagined trying to start a GoFund, asking for millions. People would laugh. They'd think she was delusional. The internet was a vast ocean, and her plea would be a tiny ripple swallowed instantly. "I know," Lily said, her voice barely a whisper. "It's just it hurts to know it's out there, and I can't do anything." Grandpa, Arthur sighed. Well, you never know. Sometimes the universe has a funny way of working things out. Rose always said that, too. Paused, then added, what if it's not about your money, Lily? What if it's about a lot of people's dreams all coming together? Lily looked up at him, her brow furrowed. What do you mean? Just thinking out loud, he said, a thoughtful look on his face. That guitar, it belongs to history, sure, but it also belongs to all the fans, to all the people who are touched by Elvis. Maybe there's a way to make it a shared dream. He didn't elaborate and Lily didn't push him. But his words, simple as they were, planted a tiny seed in her mind. A shared dream. Could it be possible? Could a community, no matter how small, somehow come together to achieve something so monumental? The idea felt outlandish, insane even. But it was the first crack in the wall of despair that had been building around her. For the first time in days, a sliver of hope, however faint, began to flicker. It was a long shot, a ridiculously long shot. But what if Grandpa Arthur was right? The next morning at Bruin Books, Lily was still wrestling with Grandpa Arthur's cryptic words. A shared dream sounded lovely, poetic even, but how did one translate poetry into millions of dollars? As she wiped down the counter, her mind kept churning, running through impossible scenarios. You look like you've been hit by a truck, Lilybug, a cheerful voice chirped. It was Chloe, Lily's best friend and fellow barista, sliding into the shop, her bright pink hair a cheerful beacon in the morning gloom. Chloe was an artist, a free spirit and fiercely loyal. Worse, Lily mumbled, pushing a stray strand of hair out of her eyes. I'd been hit by a guitar. Elvis's first guitar. Chloe's eyes widened. Oh, right. I saw that article. Insane, isn't it? Who has that kind of cash just lying around? She poured herself a coffee, then leaned against the counter, her expression thoughtful. So are you seriously thinking about it? Lily scoffed, setting down her rag. Thinking about it? Chloe, I dream about it. I wake up in a cold sweat, imagining some billionaire snatching it up. But thinking about buying it, that's like thinking about moving to Mars. I have exactly $473.12 in my savings account. Chloe took a sip of her coffee, her gaze fixed on a vintage Elvis poster above Lily's head. My grandma adored him too, you know. Used to tell me stories about fainting at his concerts. Said it was the closest she ever came to true transcendence. She paused, then looked at Lily, a mischievous glint in her eyes. But what if you didn't have to do it alone? Lily raised an eyebrow. What? Are you suggesting we rob a bank? Chloe laughed, a clear, ringing sound. No, silly. I'm talking about community. You know how much this town loves a good story? And you know how much they love Elvis? Remember how many people showed up for the Elvis tribute band last year at the town fair? It was insane. Harmony Creek, their small, tight-knit town, certainly had its share of Elvis fans. Grandma Rose had been a prominent member of the local Elvis fan club. She'd even helped organize a few events herself. Oh. Okay. It'd still be nowhere near. Millions, then you pointed out practicality, warring with a nascent flicker of hope. Maybe not just Harmony Creek, Chloe mused, tapping her chin. What about a massive Monate campaign? GoFundMe, Kickstarter, all of it. We tell the story. Your grandma's story. Elvis's story. The story of this humble guitar that started it all. We make it about preserving history, about sharing a piece of a legend, not just about one person buying a toy. Lily stared at her, a mixture of awe and disbelief on her face. Chloe, are you serious? Millions for a guitar? People donate for medical bills, for disaster relief. Not for a rock and roll relic. But this isn't just a relic, is it? Chloe argued, her voice gaining passion. This is a piece of cultural heritage. It's the guitar that taught Elvis to play. It's the beginning. And think about it, Lily. It's not just for you. If you get it, you could make it accessible. Display it somewhere. Let people see it. The idea, once so ludicrous, was starting to take on a faint, shimmering glow. Lily imagined a small display case in the town's historical society, or maybe even a small corner of the local music school. Housing the guitar people from all over could come to see it. It would be a source of pride for Harmony Creek and for Grandma Rose. "It's still insane," Lily said, but this time the word came out with less conviction, more wonder. "Insane, but maybe, just maybe, possible," Chloe countered, grinning. "We start small. We get the local newspaper involved. We talk to Mr. Henderson at the Historical Society. We talk to Mayor Thompson. We make it a Harmony Creek project." Chloe was already buzzing with ideas, pulling out her phone. "We need a catchy name for the campaign, something like Harmony for History or Strings of a Legend. Oh, the King's First Strum. Yeah, I like that one." Lily felt a warmth spread through her chest, a feeling she hadn't experienced since she first saw the article. It wasn't just the warmth of Chloe's unwavering support, but the spark of a truly Clabberty dream. It was still a monumental, almost impossible task, but for the first time, Lily didn't feel completely alone in her longing. She had a true friend, a crazy, brilliant friend who believed in the impossible. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to take the first step. "Okay," Lily said, a tentative smile gracing her lips. "Okay, Chloe. Let's make some noise. Let's see if Harmony Creek can reach for the stars." "That's the spirit, Lily Bug. First step. I'm calling the Harmony Creek Gazette. Right now, this is a story they won't be able to resist." Chloe was right. The Harmony Creek Gazette bit instantly. Sarah Jenkins, the paper's veteran reporter, listened to Lily's passionate, slightly breathless explanation over the phone, then paused. "So you're telling me," Sarah said, her voice slow and disbelieving, "that a barista from our town wants to buy Elvis Presley's first guitar, which is estimated to be worth millions of dollars, through community fundraising?" "Yes," Lily practically shouted into the phone. "And it's not just for me. It's for Harmony Creek. It's for history. It's for my Grandma Rose, who loved Elvis more than anyone. We want to bring it here, to display it, to inspire people." A long silence. Then Sarah cleared her throat. "Okay, Lily, this is either the craziest story I've ever heard, or the most heartwarming. I'll send a photographer out tomorrow morning, and I want an interview, a long one." The next day, Lily found herself posing awkwardly outside Bruin Books, holding her own acoustic guitar, trying to look determined rather than terrified. The article, when it came out a few days later, was titled, "Barista's Astronomical Dream. Harmony Creek Rallies for Elvis Guitar." It featured a lovely photo of Lily, a concise explanation of the auction, and a heartfelt plea for community support. Weaving in Grandma Rose's story, the response was immediate and overwhelming. Mr. Henderson, the curator of the Harmony Creek Historical Society, was the first to call. "Lily, my dear," he'd boomed, his voice echoing over the phone. "Rose was a dear friend. This guitar, it belongs here. It's a piece of American history and a piece of our history, too, through your grandmother. We'd be honored to house it should you acquire it, and we'll help." Then came Mayor Thompson, a stern but fair woman who prided herself on Harmony Creek's community spirit. "Lily, this is a bold undertaking, but if anyone can rally this town, it's you. Consider the town square available for any events you want to organize, and the town council will match the first $5,000 raised." Brew and Books offered a portion of their coffee sales for a week. The local high school band volunteered to put on a concert. The Harmony Creek Garden Club announced a bake sale. Everywhere Lily went, people stopped her. Old ladies pressed crumpled bills into her hands, saying, "For Elvis, dearie, Rose would be so proud." Teenagers emptied their coin jars. Families who'd never thought twice about Elvis suddenly felt a kinship, a shared purpose. A local elementary school held a penny war collecting change from excited kids who learned about Elvis for the first time. The King's first Strum Go Fund page, set up by Chloe, gained traction, slowly but surely accumulating donations, mostly small from all over the country, from people touched by the story. Comment section filled with messages. For Grandma Rose, Elvis changed my life. Let's bring this piece of history home. Lily, Chloe, and even Grandpa Arthur found themselves coordinating a whirlwind of activity. There were pancake breakfasts and car washes, silent auctions and talent shows. Lily, usually a quiet, unassuming person, found herself speaking at town meetings, giving interviews to regional news outlets that picked up on the story. She spoke with a passion she didn't know she possessed, fueled by the collective hope of Harmony Creek. One sunny Saturday, during a massive community picnic and concert in the town square, Lily looked out at the sea of faces, neighbors, friends, strangers, all united by this incredible, improbable goal. The high school band was playing a surprisingly good rendition of Hound Dog, and kids were dancing, laughing. Grandpa Arthur sat on a bench, a quiet smile on his face. Watching the scene, she walked over to him, her heart overflowing. "Grandpa, look at this. It's incredible." He nodded, his eyes glistening slightly. Rose would have loved this. She always said, music brings people together, but this is more than music. Lily, it's hope. It's what community means. Despite the growing funds, the target number still loomed like a distant mountain peak. They had raised a substantial amount for Harmony Creek, enough to make a real impact on local charities. But it was still only a fraction of what they needed for the guitar. The astronomical price was a constant, sobering reminder of the enormity of their task. Yet, seeing the town, her town, rally with such fervor, with such genuine belief, filled Lily with an unshakable determination. This wasn't just her dream anymore. It was Harmony Creek's symphony, and she was just one instrument in its beautiful, hopeful melody. As the King's First Strum campaign gained momentum, so did the scrutiny. The initial heartwarming glow began to face the harsh light of reality. While the Harmony Creek Gazette had been entirely supportive, a larger national newspaper ran an article questioning the legitimacy of the campaign. Can a small town really afford $1 million dream? The headline sneered. It highlighted the vast discrepancy between their current fundraising total and the estimated auction price, suggesting it was a naive, even foolish endeavor. Lily tried to ignore it, but the whispers of doubt began to creep in. She overheard people at Drew and Books, not from Harmony Creek, making sarcastic comments. Good luck raising $5 million from bake sales. Or, it's sweet, but they're just setting themselves up for disappointment. Then came the first major setback. A large corporation, a national chain of music stores, had contacted Lily directly, expressing interest in partnering with them. Lily had been ecstatic, envisioning a massive influx of funds. But after weeks of negotiations, the deal fell through. Their legal team had deemed the endeavor too risky and not financially viable for their corporate image. The news hit Lily hard, a punch to the gut that left her reeling. "We were so close, Chloe," Lily lamented, slumping onto a stool in the back room of Brew and Books. "They promised so much." "Now what, Chloe?" ever the optimist tried to reassure her. "It's just a bump in the road, Lily. We'll find another way." But even Chloe's usual cheerful demeanor seemed a little strained. The GoFund, while still active, saw a slowdown in donations. The initial burst of enthusiasm from strangers had waned. Most of the new donations were still from Harmony Creek locals, generous but small. The sheer scale of the target amount was beginning to feel insurmountable. Lily started having sleepless nights. She'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, replaying conversations, rereading the auction house's intimidating press releases about the guitar's value. She imagined the other bidders, seasoned collectors with private jets and bottomless bank accounts, major museums with massive endowments. How could Harmony Creek, with its bake sales and penny wars, compete with that? She started, feeling the weight of the community's hope on her shoulders. Every dollar donated, every kind word, every hopeful glance from a neighbor felt like a promise she might not be able to keep. What if she failed? What if all this effort, all this collective generosity, ended in disappointment? The thought was unbearable. One afternoon, a local news crew, a smaller one this time, came to interview her. The reporter, a young woman named Clara, looked at Lily with a sympathetic gaze. "Lily," she began gently, "people are starting to wonder if this is realistic. The auction is only a few weeks away. Do you honestly believe you can still raise enough?" She looked into the camera, trying to project confidence she didn't fully feel. "I believe in Harmony Creek," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "I believe in the power of shared dreams. This isn't just about money. It's about what that guitar represents. It's about community, about the spirit of music, about humble beginnings leading to extraordinary things." After the interview, Lily walked to the town square, sitting on the same bench where she'd talked with Grandpa Arthur. The sun was setting, casting long shadows. The enthusiasm that had propelled her for weeks seemed to dim with a fading light. She felt a profound sense of isolation despite all the support. This dream, this enormous, impossible dream, felt heavy and lonely. She pulled out her phone, looking at a picture of Grandma Rose, smiling, vibrant, holding that concert ticket stub. "Grandma," she whispered, her voice cracking, "I don't know if I can do this. It's just too big." Just then, Grandpa Arthur walked by on his way home. From his woodworking shop, he saw Lily, her shoulders slumped. He sat beside her, not saying anything for a long moment, just letting the quiet evening settle around them. Finally, he spoke. "You're feeling the pressure, aren't you?" "Sweet pea," Lily nodded, a tear escaping. "I don't want to let everyone down. It's just so much money, Grandpa." He reached out and gently squeezed her hand. "Remember what Rose always said. The biggest challenges often bring out the greatest strengths. You've brought this town together. Lily, that's a victory in itself. No matter what happens, that's something to be incredibly proud of, but don't give up hope just yet. There's still time, and sometimes the most unetiquette help comes when you least expect it." His words were a small comfort, a flicker of light in the growing gloom. But the astronomical price still loomed a monstrous barrier between Harmony Creek and Elvis's first guitar. The auction date was drawing closer, and Lily felt the clock ticking a relentless, anxiety-inducing rhythm. The anonymous email arrived late one Tuesday night, after a particularly grueling day of fielding disheartening calls and watching the GoFund tracker crawl at a snail's pace. Lily had just about given up, resigned to the bitter disappointment that was surely coming. The subject line was simply regarding Elvis's first guitar. She almost deleted it, expecting another scam or a hate mail, but something, a tiny spark of curiosity, made her click. The message was brief. No salutation. No signature. Just a few lines of text. "I have been following the King's First Drum campaign. Your community's dedication is inspiring. I believe in your cause and what the guitar represents for Harmony Creek. A significant contribution has been made to the auction house's escrow account under your name to be used solely for the purchase of the said guitar. This is to be kept anonymous. Do not contact me." Lily stared at the screen, her heart hammering against her ribs. She reread it and reread it again. Significant contribution. Escrow account. Anonymous. It sounded legitimate. Her hands trembling, she called, "Chloe," despite the late hour. "Chloe, you won't believe this. I just got an email." Chloe, half asleep, listened patiently, then gasped. "An anonymous donation. Lily, this could be huge. But do you think it's real?" "I don't know," Lily admitted. "It feels too good to be true." The next morning, Lily, armed with the email, nervously called the auction house. She braced herself for dismissal, for a polite but firm rejection. Instead, a very professional, slightly bemused voice confirmed it. "Ah yes, MS Davies. We received a substantial deposit yesterday, Dean. It's certainly generous. We've been instructed to hold it specifically for your bid on lot 347. The Elson hatch really asked enough to put you in a very competitive position, MS Davies. Let's just say it significantly closes the gap. You're now a serious contender." Lily hung up, her mind reeling. She wasn't allowed to know the exact figure per the benefactor's request, but the representative's tone, the sudden shift from polite indifference to professional respect, told her everything she needed to know. This was a life-changing amount, an amount that transformed Harmony Creek's impossible dream into a tangible possibility. Chloe was already at her door, having raced over after Lily's breathless phone call. "So, what did they say? Is it real? Is it enough?" Lily, still in shock, just nodded. They said it puts us in a very competitive position, Chloe. Someone just gave us millions of dollars." Chloe shrieked, jumping up and down, pulling Lily into a tight hug. "Oh my gosh, this is a miracle. Who do you think it is?" Lily shook her head, a bewildered smile spreading across her face. "The email said not to contact them, and they want to remain anonymous." "I have no idea, but it's real. It's actually real." The news, despite their efforts to keep the exact amount a secret, filtered through Harmony Creek like wildfire. The air crackled with renewed hope and excitement. The GoFundMe page, which they kept open for smaller contributions, saw a new surge of donations fueled by the mysterious benefactor's generosity. People felt a renewed sense of purpose, a belief that their small efforts had somehow contributed to attracting this incredible gift. Lily, however, couldn't shake the mystery. Who would be so incredibly generous, and why was it someone connected to Elvis, or someone with a more personal tie to Harmony Creek? Perhaps even to Grandma Rose. The thought of the latter sent a shiver down her spine. The email was so direct, so anonymous, almost like a ghost in the machine. Grandpa Arthur, when Lily told him, simply nodded, a knowing glint in his eyes. "See, Sweetie, I told you sometimes the biggest challenges bring out the greatest strengths, and sometimes the universe has a funny way of working things out." Rose would be absolutely beside herself with joy. Lily looked at him, then back at her phone, at the anonymous email. She still had no idea who this unseen hand belonged to, but one thing was clear. The astronomical price was no longer the insurmountable wall it once was. Now it was a hurdle, a very high hurdle, but a hurdle they might actually clear. The auction was just days away, and Harmony Creek was ready. The bright lights and relentless hum of New York City felt a million miles away from the quiet, comforting embrace of Harmony Creek. Lily, accompanied by Chloe and a nervous but determined Grandpa, Arthur stepped out of the taxi onto a bustling Manhattan street. The auction house, a grand imposing building of glass and steel, loomed before them. It felt less like a place to buy a guitar, and more like a fortress holding a priceless treasure. Lily clutched the small leather-bound notebook she'd been carrying for weeks, filled with notes on Elvis's early life, snippets of Grandma Rose's memories, and every single detail she could find about the guitar. It was her talisman, her connection to her purpose. Inside the atmosphere was a palpable mix of hushed reverence and intense anticipation. Art handlers moved with practiced grace, Security guards stood stoically and impeccably dressed. Individuals milled about, their voices low, their expressions serious. Lily felt conspicuously out of place in her comfortable jeans and a simple yet stylish blouse. Chloe, of course, was unfazed, her bright pink hair standing out like a beacon, chatting excitedly with Grandpa Arthur. They picked up their bidder's paddle, a simple, numbered piece of plastic that suddenly felt impossibly heavy in Lily's hand. Her number was 312. She imagined the other bidders, their paddles poised to snatch away her dream. "Nervous, sweet pea?" Grandpa Arthur asked, his hand gently on her back. "Terrified," Lily admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "It feels like a different world here, like we don't belong." Chloe, ever practical, squeezed her arm. "We belong just as much as anyone else, Lily. We have the best story, and thanks to our mystery benefactor, we have the funds." As they walked through a gallery, reputing other items up for auction, antique furniture, rare paintings, glittering jewelry, Lily kept her eyes peeled for lot 347, and then she saw it. It was displayed in a climate-controlled glass case, bathed in a soft, ethereal light. The guitar. It was smaller than she'd imagined, and simpler. The wood was faded in places, and there were faint scratches, the marks of a young boy's eager, perhaps clumsy hands. It wasn't flashy or ornate. It was just a guitar. But in that moment, for Lily, it was the most beautiful, significant object in the world. She pressed her hand against the cool glass, a wave of emotion washing over her. She imagined Elvis, a young boy with big dreams and an even bigger voice, strumming those strings, learning his first chords, probably making a terrible racket. She imagined Grandma Rose, a young woman hearing that music for the first time, feeling its electric charge. This wasn't just wood and strings. It was the genesis of a cultural phenomenon, a bridge between generations, a testament to the power of a single, simple gift. A man approached the case, dressed in a sharp suit, his face unreadable. He seemed to study the guitar with an almost clinical detachment, then glanced at Lily, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. He was bidder number 205, according to the tag on his lapel. Lily felt an immediate surge of rivalry. He looked like the kind of person who could buy anything he wanted. Later, sitting in the main auction hall, the tension was palpable. The room was grand, with rows of plush chairs and a raised platform for the auctioneer. Lily scanned the faces around her. She saw stoic collectors, representatives from museums, and individuals who simply exuded wealth. Bidder 205 was a few rows ahead of her, his back ramrod straight. Lily tried to steady her breathing. She closed her eyes, picturing Grandma Rose, vibrant and joyful, swaying to an Elvis song. "This is for you, Grandma, for all of us, Grandpa." Arthur squeezed her hand. "Remember why you're here, Lily," he whispered. "It's not just about winning. It's about fighting for what you believe in," the auctioneer began, his voice a smooth, rhythmic cadence rattling off lot numbers and opening bids. Lily's heart pounded with each passing item, the suspense building. Finally, the screen above the stage flashed. Lot 347, Elvis Presley's first guitar, the image of the humble instrument. The auctioneer cleared his throat, and the room seemed to hold its breath. "Ladies and gentlemen, we now present Lot 347, an iconic piece of American musical history. This instrument, gifted to a young Elvis Presley in 1946, marks the very beginning of a legend." The number he announced was indeed astronomical, a figure that would have made Lily faint just weeks ago. But now, thanks to the unseen hand, it was within reach. Her hand, clutching paddle 312, was already beginning to tremble. The real battle was about to begin. $20 million! The auctioneer's voice boomed sharp and clear. A few paddles shot up immediately. Lily's hand was still hovering, a nervous sweat beating on her palms. 2.1 million. 2.2. The bids escalated quickly, a rapid-fire succession of numbers that made Lily's head spin. She watched as familiar faces from the auction house, preview like bidder 205, raised their paddles with practiced ease. $3 million, the auctioneer announced, and the room seemed to collectively exhale. Lily took a deep breath, picturing the guitar, picturing Grandma Rose. This was it. "Paddle 312, she called out, her voice surprisingly steady, though her heart was pounding like a drum. 3.1 million. A ripple went through the room. Most of the smaller bidders dropped out, realizing they were out of their league. Now it was down to the serious players. Bidder 205, still stoic, raised his paddle. The back and forth continued, a tense dance of escalating numbers. 3.5, 3.6, 3.8. The figures blurring together, becoming abstract. The anonymous donation was vast, but was it truly limitless? Lily didn't know the exact amount, and that uncertainty gnawed at her. What if she overshot? What if she failed? Harmony Creek, $4 million. Bidder 205's voice was calm, almost bored. He didn't even look at Lily. This was more than she'd ever dared to dream of, even with the anonymous funds. Was this the ceiling? She looked at Chloe, whose eyes were wide with a mix of fear and excitement. Grandpa Arthur gave her a small, encouraging nod. "Paddle 312, Lily." The man paused, a long, agonizing moment, then slowly, deliberately, raised his paddle. 4.2 million. Lily's stomach dropped. This was it. She was out of her depth. The anonymous funds had been generous, but perhaps not infinite. She felt a wave of nausea. She looked at the auctioneer, her eyes pleading. How much more could she go? She couldn't ask the community for more. The auctioneer prompted, his gaze firm. Lily closed her eyes for a split second, a profound sense of defeat washing over her. She could feel the guitar slipping away, the dream, the memory of Grandma Rose, fading into the hands of a wealthy stranger. She felt the weight of all of Harmony Creek's hopes crushing her. Just as she was about to shake her head to surrender, a new voice cut through the silence, strong and clear from the back of the room. $5 million. Lily's eyes snapped open. The entire room turned, a collective gasp. Not bidder 205, not Lily, a new voice. A new bidder. She couldn't see who it was. The figure was cloaked in shadows near the back wall, obscured by a pillar. The auctioneer, momentarily stunned, recovered quickly. $5 million from the back of the room. Any more bids? $5 million going once. Lily was in shock. $5 million? Had the anonymous benefactor just made a second, even larger hidden contribution? Or was this a different, entirely new player? Bidder 205 for the first time turned his head, a flicker of surprise on his usually impassive face. He looked at the back of the room, then at Lily, then back at the auctioneer, took a deep breath, and then, to Lily's astonishment, slowly lowered his paddle. A concession. Going twice, the auctioneer continued, his voice picking up speed, the hammer poised. Silence. Heavy, breathless silence. Sold to the gentleman in the back for $5 million. The gavel came down with a resounding thwack, echoing through the stunned room. Lily slumped in her seat. Not in defeat, but in utter bewilderment. They hadn't won, but they hadn't lost either. The guitar was gone. But who had bought it? And what did it mean for Harmony Creek? The mystery had deepened, replaced by an even more profound sense of confusion and a faint, lingering shred of hope that this wasn't the end. The auction room erupted in a low murmur of chatter. Lily, Chloe, and Grandpa Arthur sat frozen, a mix of relief, confusion, and lingering disappointment swirling between them. The guitar was gone. Someone else had outbid them, even with the anonymous funds. But who and why? As people began to file out, Lily felt a tap on her shoulder. She turned to see bidder 205 standing there, a faint, almost apologetic smile on his face. He was older than she'd thought, with kind eyes behind expensive spectacles. "Ms. Davies?" he said, his voice surprisingly gentle. "My name is Julian Vance. I represent the Vance Foundation. We acquire historically significant artifacts. He extended a hand. Lily shook it, still bewildered. I must confess your campaign, your community's effort, truly moved me. It was inspiring. Thank you, Lily managed, still trying to process his words. But I thought you were bidding against us, he chuckled softly. I was initially, purely professional. But then I saw the passion, the genuine belief in your eyes, and the story of your grandmother. It touched me. Frankly, I didn't think you stood a chance, but I admired your spirit. He paused. Which is why, when I saw the bid from the back of the room, I immediately recognized it. They know who it is. Julian Vance nodded. Indeed, that was my bid, M.S. Davies. Lily stared at him, utterly dumbfounded. But your bidder, 205, and the voice was from the back, and you were sitting here. And, he smiled, you just said you acquire artifacts. And we have, Julian Vance said, his gaze softening. But this guitar in your hands, acquired through the spirit of your community, is far more significant than it would be in our vaults. The Vance Foundation believes in the power of public engagement, in the preservation of history for the people. We've been watching your campaign, your dedication, the way your small town rallied. It exemplifies everything we believe in. It was a mission of the heart. Lily was speechless, tears welling in her eyes. Chloe gasped, covering her mouth. Grandpa Arthur, though usually reserved, let out a soft, well, I'll be. So the $5 million, it was your money all along? Lily finally managed to choke out. The $5 million was our final, decisive bid. Yes, Julian Vance confirmed. And with it, the guitar is yours. We simply asked that it be displayed publicly in Harmony Creek for a minimum of 10 years, accessible to all with a proper acknowledgement of its journey, and a special note about your grandmother's role in inspiring its acquisition. He then reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, ornate key. This is the key to the display case. The guitar will be carefully packed and shipped to the Harmony Creek Historical Society within the week. Our foundation will also provide a grant for its proper installation. Lily took the key, her fingers trembling. Not just a key, but a symbol of an impossible dream realized, a testament to the unexpected kindness of strangers. Mr. Vance, she whispered, tears now freely flowing down her cheeks. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Thank you so much. This means everything. Julian Vance simply smiled. The true thanks, M.S. Davies, belongs to you and your grandmother. You reminded us that some things are truly priceless. You reminded us of the power of a dream and the magic of a community that believes in it. He turned to leave, then paused, looking back at Lily, Chloe, and Grandpa Arthur. And do tell the wonderful people of Harmony Creek that they are an inspiration. The king's first strum has found its truest home. As he walked away, disappearing into the crowd, Lily still clutched the key, the reality of what had just happened slowly sinking in. The astronomical price, the seemingly insurmountable odds, the anonymous benefactor, it had all been part of a grand, heartwarming plan. The guitar wasn't just bought, it was earned, not by her money, but by the heart of her community and the generosity of a stranger who saw beyond a monetary value. The hammer had fallen and an unexpected chord had been struck, resonating with pure, unadulterated hope. The arrival of the guitar in Harmony Creek was met with a celebratory fervor that eclipsed even the most successful fundraisers. It arrived in a specially designed climate-controlled crate, escorted by representatives from the Vance Foundation and a local security detail. The entire town gathered at the Harmony Creek Historical Society, transformed into a festive hub of excitement. Lily, standing beside Mr. Henderson and Mayor Thompson, watched as the guitar was carefully lifted from its packaging. It was even more beautiful in person, its humble wood imbued with a palpable sense of history. The scratches and wear were no longer imperfections. They were proof of its journey, of the young hands that had once held it. The Historical Society had prepared a special custom-built display case in the center of their main hall. It was elegant and secure, allowing visitors to view the guitar from all angles. Lily, holding the key Julian Vance had given her, performed the symbolic act of locking the case, signifying its permanent home. The Harmony Creek High School Band played a medley of Elvis songs. The mayor gave a heartfelt speech, and Mr. Henderson spoke eloquently about the historical significance of the instrument. The most poignant moment came when Lily stepped up to the microphone. She looked out at the sea of familiar faces, Chloe beaming, Grandpa Arthur, his eyes shining with pride, the elderly ladies who had pressed crumpled bills into her hand, the children who had collected pennies, all the people who had believed in this impossible dream. "Harmony Creek," Lily began, her voice thick with emotion. "We did it. We actually did it." A roar of applause and cheers erupted. "This guitar," she continued, gesturing to the gleaming case, "isn't just a piece of wood and strings. It's a testament to a young boy's dream, a testament to the power of music, and most importantly, it's a testament to us, to Harmony Creek." She spoke of Grandma Rose, her unwavering love for Elvis, and how her dream had sparked this incredible journey. She spoke of Chloe's crazy idea of Grandpa Arthur's quiet wisdom. She spoke of every single bake sale, every car wash, every dollar and penny donated. She spoke of the mysterious, generous Vance Foundation, acknowledging their incredible belief in Harmony Creek's spirit. "This guitar represents humble beginnings," Lily said, her voice clear and strong. "Elvis Presley started with this simple instrument, and he changed the world. And we, a small town, started with a seeming impossible dream. And we changed our world. We showed that when people come together, when they believe in something bigger than themselves." She concluded, "This isn't just Elvis's guitar. It's Harmony Creek's guitar. It's a symbol of hope, of community, of what happens when we refuse to give up on a dream. It's home, where the heart is." Crowd erupted again, a symphony of cheers and applause, a collective outpouring of joy and pride. In the weeks that followed, the Harmony Creek Historical Society became a bustling hub. Tourists from all over the country, and even some from abroad, came to see Elvis's first guitar. They marveled at its simplicity, read the plaque explaining its journey, and felt a connection to the legend and to the small town that had brought it home. Lily continued to work at Brew and Books, but her life had irrevocably changed. She had found a new confidence, a voice she hadn't known she possessed. She helped Mr. Henderson organize educational programs around the guitar, sharing its story with school children, inspiring them with its message of perseverance and the power of dreams. One quiet afternoon, Lily sat alone in the Historical Society, gazing at the guitar. Grandpa Arthur walked in a small smile on his face. "She'd be so proud, sweet pea," he said softly, joining her. "So incredibly proud." Lily nodded, a tear tracing a path down her cheek, but this time it was a tear of pure joy. "It's more beautiful than I ever imagined, Grandpa, and it feels right, like it was always meant to be here." She remembered the astronomical price, the despair she had felt. But the guitar itself, in its new home, seemed to whisper a different kind of value. Not monetary, but emotional, historical, communal. It wasn't just a relic. It was a living testament to connection, to passion, and to the extraordinary things that can happen when a community decides to hit an impossible note together. King's first strum had returned to a place where its true value could finally be heard.